This is the story of a legendary nomadic lion. After he and his brother were exiled from their pride, they fought back and built one of their own. But one night, his brother vanished without a trace. To find him, the lion left his pride behind. He wandered across the endless savanna until the very end of his life. In 2011, a male lion was born on the vast plains of the Masai Mara. He grew up in the old Kiambo pride under the shadow of powerful kings. In a world ruled by dominance and strength, he and his mother relied on each other to survive. But what made him different wasn't where he was born, nor his bloodline. What set him apart was the hardship that shaped him and his unshakable will to stand tall. When Jesse was born, he had a brother, Frank. Their bond was more than blood. They shared the same spirit, raised by the same pride, learning side by side how to survive. They took their first steps together, stumbled under the same tree's shade, and grew with the same wild scent of freedom. They both knew one truth: a male lion can never stay in one pride forever. Nature has a simple rule. When males mature, they're driven out. At 3 years old, Jesse and Frank felt it, the law written in their very bones. They were expelled from the old Kiambo pride. No territory, no mates, no cubs to protect, only hunger, danger, and the unknown ahead. Most males die in this stage starved or slain by rivals. But Jesse and Frank never gave up. For weeks, they roamed following scent marks, studying boundaries, searching for a chance to claim their own, looking for their moment to survive. Then in 2014, opportunity arrived. The offbeat pride was crumbling. Its old rulers were fading, their scent marks weak, their patrols lazy. The pride was vulnerable, ripe for takeover. Jesse and Frank seized the moment and attacked. They faced their foes head-on, a whirlwind of claws, dust, and blood. A brutal fight for everything. It was a battle worth every risk because it meant life itself, and they won. They won it all. The old kings fled or fell where they stood. The pride was now theirs. Jesse was only 3 years old, yet the lionesses accepted them. New life began to stir. Jesse was no longer a survivor, he was a ruler. A young and powerful king with Frank still by his side. By 2016, Jesse reigned over the offbeat pride. Like all dominant males, he bore the duty of protection and the constant trial of survival. In a rare sighting, Jesse was seen driving out one of his grown sons. In the wild, this is the law of life. When young males come of age, they must leave. Because once they mature, young males threaten the pride's cubs. They become a danger to the next generation. But after the expulsion, Jesse returned to his cub's side. This time, he was no longer the enforcer, but a gentle and watchful father. Jesse knew when to bare his fangs and when to show tenderness. But in the wild plains of the Masai Mara, peace never lasts long. One morning in 2016, everything changed. That day, Frank was gone. No signs of a fight, no tracks, just silence. Jesse searched for hours, for days, lost in grief and silence. Then he turned his back on the pride and walked away. Some said he left because he couldn't protect them alone, that the loss broke him. But those who watched him closely knew Jesse was searching for Frank. It wasn't speculation. He never claimed a new territory. He never settled with another pride. Every day he crossed new lands, risking everything. This was not the act of a lion seeking dominance, but of a brother searching for his own blood. For 6 long years after that, Jesse never stopped searching. During that time, he never joined another pride, never formed another coalition. He hunted alone, fought alone every dawn, and roared alone each night. Then, one quiet morning, the Masai Mara lay still. But in the Logar Plains, rival males rested nearby, until a roar deep, defiant, and unbroken shattered the silence. A voice bold and timeless, the nomad king Jesse had returned. The rival males froze in disbelief. They knew that roar. In seconds, dawn's calm turned to chaos and pursuit. But Jesse was no desperate fugitive, he was executing a plan. First, he lured his enemies away. Then, dropping low to the earth, he slipped through the brush, vanishing without a trace. While his pursuers gasped and searched in vain, Jesse had doubled back. With their focus broken, he slipped into the very heart of the pride. There, Jesse sought out a lone lioness. She didn't run. She recognized him, and they mated. It wasn't luck, it was strategy. Jesse defeated his rivals. Though old, his mind was still sharp and deadly. That's why Jesse was known not only as the Nomad King, but also as the Casanova of the plains. He would draw rivals away, charm their lionesses, then vanish like smoke on the wind. That was Jesse. Jesse never formed alliances. He chose solitude. He was one of the rare lions who could survive without a pride. Around the same time, Jesse was seen near the Topi Pride's territory, keeping company with lionesses. He didn't conquer the pride, nor rule it for long. But he had a way of drawing lionesses from their males by intimidation, by charm, or by sheer strength. These were not lasting bonds, only brief alliances. In those short windows, he mated, and days later slipped away as always. On another solitary foray, Jesse again approached the Topi Pride's lands. Observers noted his caution and his resolve. He knew well the risk of entering a young male's domain alone, but Jesse had another purpose. There, he approached a lioness, a quiet moment, yet impossible to ignore. To avoid reprisals, that closeness upset the pride's balance. Some believe they mated, others say it was only a brief encounter, proof that Jesse's presence still carried weight. But it ended in tragedy. Soon after the reports, Jesse was said to have killed the lioness. The reason remains unknown. Perhaps she refused him. Perhaps he asserted dominance. Or it was strife within the pride itself. No one can say for certain. What is certain is this. A Topi Pride lioness took her final breath beneath Jesse's paws. Tensions across the region flared. Soon after, Jesse clashed head-on with the Topi Pride's guardian, a young, powerful male named Doa. Doa. At the time, Doa was the only resident male. His brothers, Koshoka, Jongo, Kibogio, and Kijoke, were often away, roaming deep into other ranges. That left Doa exposed, a lone defender and an easy target to replace, both roles at once. Some believed Jesse and Doa might form a temporary alliance, two solitary males with hard-won pasts, perhaps willing to share ground, to strengthen their hold together. They were seen walking side by side, keeping a wary distance, testing the waters. But the bond didn't last. Tension rose between them. Jesse once offered Doa a share of his kill and was refused. That moment marked the turn. A quiet tailing began, then a sudden burst of fury. Dust exploded and power crashed like thunder. Though older, Jesse's will to fight had not dimmed. Doa was quick, but Jesse had experience. When it ended, Jesse was gone. Doa, however, bore the cost. Deep gouges around his eyelids, a scar to last a lifetime. Jesse didn't take the territory that day, but he left his mark behind, a reminder Doa would carry all his days. In 2021, Jesse was still defying fate. He was seen less than a kilometer from three Black Rock males, Onamina, Lokarup, and Olobo. They didn't notice him, but Jesse seemed to sense them. He paused, then slipped away in another direction. Not from fear, but from calculation. Moments later, he was chasing another male and a lioness. The young male fled at once. Jesse nearly caught the lioness, hesitated, and finally let her go. He watched her disappear, then lay quietly in the tall grass. Even at 10 years old, Jesse wasn't just surviving, he was still taking bold risks, still earning respect in the heart of the Masai Mara. In 2022, the Mara witnessed an unexpected duel. Observers saw Jesse in the Black Rock Range, facing one of the strongest young males of the time, Olamina. This wasn't a routine border clash. Jesse was already 11, an extraordinary age for a wild male. Few make it that far. Most lions die by 8 to 10, their coalitions crumbling, their reigns ended by the young. But Jesse still stood unbowed. That day, he chose to fight again. Olamina was young and powerfully built, and didn't expect a challenge. Seeing Jesse lingering in his range, he mistook him for another worn-out drifter. But Jesse wasn't weak, only older. This time, Jesse struck first. Olamina was lying at rest, not unprepared, but caught off guard. Jesse closed in and attacked. Olamina, shocked, but quick to counter. They battled for minutes, both lions bleeding, neither one yielding. Youth favored Olamina. Experience steadied Jesse. It was a challenge and a declaration. At last, Jesse withdrew, but not as a beaten lion. He backed away with his head held high, their gaze unbroken to the very end. Once more, the Masai Mara bore witness. Jesse was old, yet still a fighter, still the nomad king. Later in life, Jesse crossed paths with one of his sons, Jesse II. They recognized each other, father and son. After meeting in the heart of the Mara, they walked side by side, hunted together. Observers wondered, would this become a father-son coalition? But fate said otherwise. Soon after, Jesse II wandered off. A few months later, he was killed. Jesse had seen him one last time, and once again walked alone. Nomadic life was never Jesse's choice. It was his destiny. For a lone male, facing a pack of wild dogs borders on madness. For Jesse, it was just another day. 20 dogs against one lion. He did not flinch. He roared and strode forward and took the kill back from their jaws. Why was Jesse so fearless? Because he was not only a lion, he was fearlessness itself. A wandering life is never easy for a lion. A lion's strength flows from his pride, his lionesses, his brothers, and cubs. Jesse had none of that. Solitude meant living on the knife's edge each day, fighting for every waterhole, running every hunt alone, and praying each night to see the dawn. Yet Jesse never bowed. His body was a map of scars, ears torn, neck and shoulders sunken, teeth worn to nubs. But he still stood tall. He fought wild dogs, clashed with rival males, and lived to tell the tale. Observers could only marvel. No one knew how he kept going. Sometimes he ran, sometimes he fought, but he never lowered his head, never surrendered. He carried dignity and a steadfast longing for Frank. Each morning's roar, perhaps it was a warning indeed, or perhaps he was still calling out to his brother, somewhere far away. Seasons turned, and the Mara changed with them. New kings rose, new borders were drawn, but Jesse kept roaming. Early in 2023, Jesse was seen again, trying to court a group of lionesses, likely females from the Olar pride. But this time, things didn't go as he'd hoped. Not at all. Jesse played it bold, but the lionesses turned him away in an instant. When he lifted a paw toward one of them, the whole group wheeled and drove him back. He left that day without a mate. Only a warning. You're not welcome here. He still looked powerful, but Jesse was living on borrowed time. At 12 years old, he had outlived most wild males by far. The days when lionesses favored him were long gone. Solitude was no longer a choice. Age and time had made it his reality. Young coalitions ruled these ranges now. Lionesses leaned toward the young, the strong, males brimming with dominance. And still, Jesse walked the wild in silence. Perhaps, maybe, still searching for the scent of his brother. Time finally caught him. After that brief encounter, Jesse moved on. That same year, he returned to where it all began, the northern conservancies of the Mara. He was 12 then, ancient for a wandering male, old yet unbroken. The same fire still burned behind his eyes. His pace was slow but sure, and there was a reason. When death nears in the wild, old males often drift back to the lands where they were born. Perhaps Jesse sensed his journey's end. Perhaps he meant to try, one last time, to follow Frank's fading trail. But home was no longer his. 3 young, powerful males of the Ngoyani coalition now ruled those plains. Jesse saw them, faster, stronger, blazing with vigor. But Jesse did not flinch. The battle broke like thunder. Dust rose and roars shook the thickets. Jesse stood alone against 3 young kings. Jesse fought his final battle. There was no fear in him, no hesitation. But his body could no longer endure. His paws slipped in the dust. His jaws had lost their power. He fell. With the last of his strength, he dragged himself beneath a tree's shade and lay still. The wind stilled. For a fleeting moment, the whole of the Masai Mara seemed to hold its breath. The lone warrior was gone. Jesse died with no one beside him, but everyone could feel it. Something in the land itself was missing. Today, Jesse's daughters still roam with the offbeat pride, carrying on his bloodline. Jesse never found his brother, but with every step he took, he walked closer to him. His 6-year journey of solitude is still told to this day. Perhaps Jesse never ruled a kingdom, but he became a legend. A devoted brother, a king without a crown. He belonged to no place, yet his name was known to all. Jesse, the wandering Lion King, unyielding even in death.